He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom. I'll keep my guns. Try to keep my money and my religion too.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by, Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
I'm going to keep my big VA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American Hour. I'm your host, Clay Douglas. My guest today is Gordon Duff. Gordon is the editor at Veterans Today. And, Gordon, I've got something up here I think that you wanted to talk about. A police state in Colorado. Now, we're starting to get these reports coming in from all over. We got the raid down here in Arizona on the veteran who was just walking down his hall with his gun in his hand to check out a report of an armed man in the front yard, and he was shot down by SWAT. What's happening in Colorado?
Well, I'm actually I'm sitting here in Ohio with I'm a gunsmith. I have gun safes everywhere. I own almost anything you can own, and being a 1%er, which the rest of you are not, I could do anything I please. I have a law partner. I could go out in the street and kill people in at least 50 countries. I'm privileged. Plus, I'm a diplomat, so I get away with murder. Except, frankly, the people I'd kill, you'd like to see the list. It's one of the concerns I've had over the years. I go back to the 1990s. One of my friends is J.B. Campbell, who's a really good writer. I don't know if you've had J.B. on your show or not.
That was the most blocked show I've ever had. I tried to have J.B. I'll bring him back here shortly here. That was the most blocked show. Homeland Security did not like me talking to J.B. Campbell.
Well, J.B. Worked in Rhodesia for a few years during the 1970s, shooting people, which with his partner, I shouldn't mention the guy's name. I've been working in South Africa on and off the last few months here on, here's for instance. We had on a competing show the other day a legislator from South Africa who came out and just pointed out to people that 4,000 white farmers in South Africa have been murdered by Africans, and the government approves of it. Their families have been killed. They've been chopped to pieces. Their farms have been stolen, and the government's doing nothing about it. And, of course, that show was very, very heavily blocked. Now, I'm not officially a white supremacist or whatever, but I'm a truth guy, and if it really happens, it needs to be reported. Now, one of the problems with Campbell is that Campbell is one of the originators of the militia movement from the 1990s. The problem is that every time we do something to try to save our country, out comes the FBI, who a lot of friends in the FBI. I, oddly enough, have an official partnership with them on some things. I'm a defense contractor. You can't not work with these guys. Some of them are people you'd like, oddly enough. Some are not, which is a problem. But that's a 45-70 hitting the table, by the way. The last thing in the world you want to be shot by. 370 grains, unpleasantness. But we had the militia movement hijacked by the one percenters when it began talking about how much it was worried about global warming and how much it liked nuclear power. When it started talking about cigarettes, the Michigan militia was actually funded by Philip Morris, if you can imagine that. They used to sit and argue about how they were going to split up the cigarette money. All they talked about was drinking in bars. Here in Ohio, we ended drinking in bars about 4 years ago. And in that 4 years, we found revenues in the bars actually went up. I'm a non-smoker. Excuse me for my prejudice, but light a cigarette around me, and you'll likely learn what it feels like to be upside down. I still have that delightful capability for someone over 60 years old.
Now,
you know.
Let me just go back for a moment, because the ADL gave me credit for starting the militias in New Mexico. And they just didn't tell you I started it in Governor Gary Johnson's office, talking to Governor Gary Johnson in my house, in my office. We weren't any terrorist organization. And
but we knew what we want. We knew what we wanted back. And a few months later, everybody was taking money from somebody else. I think when the Michigan militia, which was the largest in the country, was disbanded, the question at the meeting was anybody that isn't an FBI informant, please leave the room. And the first guy to leave was the guy who said it. Everybody else left too. The parking lot was empty. There wasn't anyone left. Now, they tried the same thing recently again here with a group in Michigan called the Hooteries, which was about, a dozen people that, basically a gun club. A couple of the guys are accused of upgrading their M16s to full automatic by buying stuff at gun shows. And so, which I'll tell you, do not do that. It's a federal crime. Full automatic weapons are not necessary. Don't own them without a license. Do not buy silencers. You do not need to go head-to-head with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They sent their regional chief over to one of my friend's houses for a 2.5-hour interview the other night, and the friend they visited, when they found out he was a special forces colonel with a high security clearance, and he had to keep calling him sir, made the visit bad. But now they're friends, which is fine. They will all learn eventually. Some of these guys aren't as bad as they think, but when they're hired, they are told we are people we are not. Now I grew up in Detroit. By standards, I'm a Democrat. And so it's something hard to understand for some people in the Western U.S. But we have an appreciation of trade unions. Now, here's why we do trade unions here. Before we had trade unions, you could sell milk made out of chalk. They stopped it. Drug prices were not controlled. That was stopped. Before trade unions, there was no regulation on Wall Street. When the trade unions broke down, they deregulated Wall Street. Now your job's in China. Trade unions were all that, imperfect as they all are. And I mean, you work somewhere, they've got a union, somebody's in charge. It's always the wrong guy. I'm sorry, I can't help it that way. You know, and about a third of them were run by organized crime. But without them, we had the rich were telling us what to do. So we either had trade unions that we had a chance of running, or working for the rich and their damn police departments. That's all we had. If you go back to the progressive era, to Andrew Carnegie, for instance, at one point he hired 600. This is the turn of this century, over 100 years ago. He hired 600 Pinkertons, put them on barges, and armed them and sent them after strikers. Now, my grandfather, on one side of the family anyway, grew up as a coal miner in Hazard, Kentucky, making a couple dollars a day. He lived past 60 years old. My father worked in an automobile plant, and when he was 5 or 6 years younger than me, which, you know, he'd be, if he were alive now, he'd be about 110. He would have needed a quadruple bypass. Well, they never had those things because, well, frankly, there never was medicine for poor people. We talk about insurance. Let's stop Obamacare here. Now, Obamacare's got some serious faults. Essentially, it's this. Obama came to an agreement with the Republicans to put billions of dollars in management. Jeff Gates will tell you about this. That's the last thing we needed. However, when people talk about only 15% of people in this country having health insurance, Clay, do you have health insurance?
I have Social Security, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I have TRICARE and Champ VA, which is, and I broke a tooth yesterday. I think the piece of it's sitting here in front of me. And I have to make that call today, and that's going to be a nightmare. Although the dental guys are okay.
I hope the best. But let me take the conversation back. Now, you mentioned South Africa, and I want to talk about, I wanted to ask you about Rhodesia. I mean, we had the UN move into Rhodesia after they established a constitution based on our own. And then the next thing we know, all of those racist South Africans, and we certainly know how this Jewish banking system uses that to try to tarnish people.
Well, the worst thing is, of course, my partners in South Africa are all Jews. It's strangely enough. I work with the South African CIA. I have a partnership with them. They have a large database capability, and they manage, oh my, you'll love this, Clay. You ever hear of the no-fly list?
I'm sure I'm on it, but I haven't, I won't pull my boots off or...
Do you know who runs it?
Who?
One of the people is me.
You mean I've been talking bad about you, about all these TSA groping children and all that?
I mean, if I'm going here to my desktop here, it's sitting here in front of me is a memorandum of understanding that makes me a partner in the company that, you know, they privatized all this stuff, you know. And I run a group of defense companies that include some Pentagon and, you know, FBI people that you've heard of, and they all work for me. I mean, I may be an old guy, but I'm also a senior and at least listen to old guys sometimes. I'm a partner in the company that runs the no-fly list, the terror watch list, the money laundering list, 40 lists that the FBI and Homeland Security use, go through computer systems and employees that work for me.
All right. Well, let me ask you something then. It's nice to be able to go right to the top here. You know, I've often wondered over the last 20 years why I'm on anybody's list. I'm just an old biker from Texas.
It's
It's
an interesting question because I can talk authoritatively about this. Now, if, for instance, now I can't get you classified information and turn it over to you. There is a provision that allows me to turn information over to financial institutions because of the potential of money laundering, or to law firms, and we call that enhanced due diligence. And then countries sign up for a basic service so they can check people that for passport screening, because I also run the passport screening database for 136 countries, and then of course for large corporations they can buy enhanced due diligence that is non-classified, but these reports are not inexpensive on people they hire or people who come in, the scamsters, to do business with them. And I think that's reasonable. The other issue, of course, is that there are classified law enforcement databases, and some of the issue is getting track of things that are moving back and forth. Why billions of dollars? Why arms, drugs? We're finding out how many diamonds that are out there right now are homemade. They're either CVD or PECVD, which are grown diamonds that are grown from a seed. And no law enforcement organization in the world has a machine capable of detecting them. So the problem is we're moving hundreds of billions of dollars worth of diamonds. They represent a large proportion of wealth in these hedge funds. Investment-grade diamonds, we've got stuff at 100 carats, but a couple of carats of perfect blue, absolutely perfect blue diamond is $2 million. And these things cost $100 to make. I'll give you one more here. We're actually manufacturing, literally, we're manufacturing gold. It costs $100 an ounce to make. We make it out of lead. We make it in a kiln. We're making gold.
That's interesting.
Well, if you go to the market in South Korea.
But wait a minute, just a moment. You didn't answer the question. Why? Now, I don't know for sure. I haven't flown. I haven't tried to fly because.
Oh, I'm on a watch list.
But somebody tried to send me money by Western Union, and they wouldn't give me the money until they talked with her and told her I was on a government watch list.
Well, you are probably on several lists. There is no way of applying to get taken off a list. They only add people to the list. They don't take them off. I guess I might as well later call South Africa and have you run. That'll take about the full job takes about a week, and what comes back is the size of a telephone pole. I can tell you who your kindergarten teacher was having sex with. They keep a lot of records. Everything you ever bought on credit card, all of that stuff comes up. It's all on a list. Everything is on a list, and necessarily these things aren't as horrible as they are. But we talk about the Constitution, and let's say I'm very much encouraged to end government in the United States the way it is. I believe it's gone totally wrong. I've got two issues here in this election. I've got about a half dozen policies that Obama is involved in that I believe in, about a half dozen. The chairman of our Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dempsey, is the best guy in the whole world. He'd never been to Israel. Last time he went there, Netanyahu left with a black eye. General Dempsey, you don't screw with. Leon Panetta's a nice guy. Petraeus is a tricky guy, but he's not an idiot. So it's the only time we've ever had intelligent people like that. Attorney General Eric Holder, on the other hand, I don't know. He may be working for the mafia with Janet Napolitano.
Well, let me just stop you right there. Here, Holder's taking a lot of heat for this gun running operation, but that was the BATF, the ones responsible for Waco.
And funny enough, the head of the regional BATF down there, I've got his card sitting right here, and he came in to interview one of my guys, and one of my guys, of course, works for the Army at Fort Huachuca as an intelligence officer. And if you're with the BATF, you're 4 security levels too low to say hi. You certainly need a letter to talk to me, but the problem here. Let's take Arizona. I look at that as the battle zone, but Arizona in the Southwest is being lost by the United States. Part of this is involved in a couple of things. One of them, of course, is the Mexican cartels are spending billions of dollars, but what they're buying is they're buying police departments, they're buying local governments. They have cooperation with members, not the rank and file, but groups at, let's say, the highest level of the Mormon Church. We took a look last week at Bain Security, run by Mitt Romney.
That's right.
And Bain Security is run by Israeli intelligence, has been for many years. Are you aware of that?
Yes, sir. I put that up on my website. I had that Romney's being run by the Mossad, or Bain Capital is being run by the Mossad. That means Romney is simply another Mossad tool.
And it's a popular thing, Clay, to say that Obama's a horrible person, and I can mention more than a few things I don't like that he's done, but I can say that, and this is difficult language to use here, but we live in this world of political correctness where I can criticize Israel, but I can't say bad things about Jews. One of the reasons is because 30% of the people on my staff at VT are Jews who spend most of their time attacking Israel. I'm on the ADL watch list. I have a 5-page section there. I have the biggest one so far. Technically, I am a Jew, although if one wanted to, really run that genetically, I'm not sure it would fit, but, quite technically, this is classic. I had people run background on me. Now I'm a Duff or a MacDuff, which is Scottish. Our family married in with a group called the St. Clairs, who were Norman Knights. When they left France, the Norman Knights were married in. Normans were Norsemen or Vikings, and they had married in with an existing French family called the Merovingians. The Merovingians claim that they have divine kingship because they're the descendants of the children of Christ and Magdalene, or as you would call them, branches of the Davidian family or branch Davidians. That's where that term comes from, which gives you royal power. And that the elites of the world, this is as much as I can say without having somebody actually shoot you right now, but the ruling elites, the people who tell the Bilderbergers what to tell the guys to tell Obama and others to do, are branch Davidians who believe that this original bloodline, the Davidian bloodline of Christ, is an alien bloodline. I'm kidding. You can't make stuff like this up. All of the elites, and there are inner circle after circle, and once you begin getting close to them, you will disappear. If you've heard of the group, it isn't real. The Council on Foreign Relations, I was offered to join that. It's a pack of goofs. I read their material. They're failed academics, small timers. I mean, I think Madonna belongs. I like her dad. I own a wine importing business. Madonna's dad's one of my business partners, Silvio Ciccone, and her family's nice. She was, I'm not sure she has the common sense why boycott Israel when, you know, it's all done for show anyway. Because how do you defend the Palestinians when they keep electing Israeli shills to boss them around anyway? You know,
well, aren't we doing that right now? You know, one of the things that I've asked, and England plays into this too, because you know the England still wanted the British-Israeli whole movement there. What you're talking about, the royal bloodlines, they wanted America back as a colony, and then the Jewish bankers came in and
got America back as a colony. You probably don't know this, and you're talking to somebody here with up till 5 in the morning. So I'm waiting for whatever this is to wear off and these cappuccinos to hit. But this group called the Federalists, Alexander Hamilton,
yes,
worked for the Rothschilds,
yes,
and it was their job to overthrow the U.S. government. So a document was prepared by a criminal organization that wasn't the Founding Fathers to overthrow the government and put it in the hands of the rich. They created a 3-part government where we no longer elected presidents, but we had electoral college, where we had a Senate that was chosen only by rich people, where almost no one was allowed to vote, where a very weak Congress people could pretend they voted for existed. And then above that, they put a Supreme Court appointed by the President and Senate, who were chosen by these bizarre electoral colleges, or the Senate was chosen by other groups, but it was a millionaires club. That overthrew the Articles of Confederation. And then the history books were written to say the Articles of Confederation is so we could collect taxes and steal land from the Indians. What the Constitution did was turn the United States back over to the London bankers.
yes.
The Constitution was written without the Bill of Rights. It's been amended over and over and over again. And it's funny, you notice they have no trouble passing laws like the National Defense Authorization Act, the Patriot Act, suspending habeas corpus. And since the Constitution supposedly is based on English common law from 1326, running it on the Thames, it's funny, but we have no trouble violating it. There's nothing that can't be done under the Constitution. You can arrest and detain anyone anywhere you want. You can, if you're an authority, you can shoot anyone you want. If you're rich, you can steal anything you want. You can take anyone's land, do anything you want. And the Constitution doesn't seem to have ever stood in the way of any of that. You know, we say we have people that don't keep to their oaths. Well, frankly, you know, I started out in the military in 1968. I served as a Marine in Vietnam. It took me about a minute and a half. I don't know if you read the last thing I put out this week, but every couple of years I'll write something on Vietnam. I've written 2 books on Vietnam. One's called Baby on a Stick, and the other one is They're Your Guts, You Police Them Up. Not big sellers, but really quite funny. I think Amazon has them somewhere. But because if you can't see humor in things, you will not survive. But the Constitution has not protected us. It has not protected us from the government. It has not protected us from the rich. It has not protected our country, which is ruled by an international cabal. There is no independent United States. The United States government, Congress, is nothing but mid-level organized crime run by an international group of, you know, I can't even say who they were. I can't even say what I know because I've simply been told I'm not allowed.
We're talking about
if I did, it wouldn't help. If you've heard of them, the CFR, the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderbergers, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the New World Order, whatever, if you've heard the name, it means they ain't nobody. If you're a secret society and we have them, then they're secret. That's the whole point, you know. They are